Leeds news. Leeds shared this year's retained list. Marc is set to see a loan move. Summerville holds talks with Feyenoord. Stuart could be Leeds' new director of football. And Pierre Kunde set for England. Hiya folks, Stuart here on the 13th of June with your Leeds United news. Some breaking news this morning that may lead to a new director of football for Leeds for this season. Seems to be starting to come out. There'll be more information over the course of the day, but we'll give you some detail on what we've heard so far. But we will start off today with the retained list, and Leeds did issue the retained list for this year yesterday evening. In this, Joel Robles and Adam Forshaw were marked as two players who will leave Leeds at the end of their contracts. However, at the end of the statement, it does say that both players have been invited back for pre-season training. There are unconfirmed reports also going around Twitter and the internet saying that both players are in contract negotiations still with Leeds around a new deal, but that this is temporary and the both are expected to re-sign for Leeds. However, it hasn't been signed, so you never know. Forshaw's injury history is going to be an interesting one, and whether Leeds decide to go with Robles as a first-choice keeper next year or bring in a first-choice keeper remains to be seen. So still a bit of water to go under the bridge there on that one to see where it goes. But I would like to see both of them stay on at Leeds in different capacities. Forshaw injury history is a concern. I keep saying pay as you play deal for Forshaw, which would make sense for him and for us. And if he is fit, he'd be a huge asset in the Championship. If he's not fit, you're not paying any money for it, so it doesn't really matter. But Leeds still need to strengthen that midfield area regardless of that. Let's talk about midfielders potentially leaving Leeds. And Marc has been the subject of a lot of speculation over the last couple of weeks about moves to either Barcelona or Real Betis. But according to Mundo Deportivo this morning, they claim that Marc Roca's move to Real Betis is imminent and expected to be announced soon. Pretty vague, no extra details on that. It does say that they expect the move to be a loan move to Betis, and it's unclear currently whether there is an option to buy in that or whether there is a loan fee also included in that for Leeds to make up some money. What it does say in the report is that Betis will pick up 100% of Roca's wages, which would get him off Leeds' wage bill, which is the primary concern for the higher wage people. But also says in the report that Leeds could look to hang on to Roca until they get promoted back into the Premier League, hopefully next season. And in that situation, Leeds could then sell Roca for a higher fee next year should they get back into the Premier League. It's an interesting one for me. Maybe there isn't a huge amount of offers for Roca. Maybe it is just a case of a loan move, get the wages off the books and reassess next year, The danger would be there are certain players with Leeds that I would like to see go out on loan, so we hang on to them if it's an option of losing them or loaning them out. Sinistera being one, Tyler Adams being another. Marc is not one of them. I think Marc Roca, even if we do go back to the Premier League, we probably need better players than Roca showed last season. There was moments where he looked really good, but there was other moments where just not so much, especially positionally. So maybe a full pre-season or a different manager, he plays differently in a different style, but it's a strange one for me. More detail when it comes out. Chris Summerville, we've been talking a huge amount about Chris Summerville over the last few days, and this is one that, as much as we would like to hang on to him, seems like Summerville is edging towards the door in some form of a move with the amount of rumour and the amount of clubs that are said to be interested in the player. Dortmund have been mentioned, Aston Villa have been mentioned, Liverpool have been mentioned, and according to Dutch media outlet 1908, Chris Summerville has held talks with former club Feyenoord around a move back to the club this summer. The report claims that Summerville is considering a move back to Holland this summer after speaking to manager Arne Slot. It said that the option of Champions League football is also appealing to the player as well. It does go on to say, though, that however, the report claims that no talks between the clubs have taken place, despite the fact that Summerville has what they described as an hour-long phone call with Slot. There was a time where you weren't allowed to do that. There was a time where if a manager rang a player, it was tapping up and you weren't allowed to do it and you were fined or had a transfer embargo. Seems to be common enough place now. Whatever about agents talking to different clubs, for a manager to talk directly to a player when the club haven't sanctioned it, it seems odd. Next, we get a bit of a rumour mill here. This is massive rumour mill territory, and this is a story from Nova Sport around Olympiacos midfielder Pierre Kunde. What it says is that Leeds are interested in the midfielder from Olympiacos. He did spend last season on loan at German outfit Bochum, he didn't impress enough at Bochum in order to get a full-time contract and has gone back to Olympiacos. The Greek outlet says that the player has packed his bags and is heading for England for the next chapter of his career. However, it also says in the article that it doesn't state that Leeds are interested in him, despite the fact that the first paragraph says Leeds are interested in Pierre Kunde. If he didn't cut it in Germany at Bochum, he's not going to cut it in the Championship, even in England. So it would be an unusual move. He seems to be that sitting, holding midfielder who likes to spray those diagonal passes that we've seen from Calvin Phillips. There's a couple of clips doing the rounds of his time at Olympiacos under Carlos Corberán, and we're seeing very similar Bielsa-esque kind of starting off with the quarterback, as it were, in the number 6, and then spraying balls into the corners. So it's we've seen it before, but I don't think there's a huge amount to it currently. There might be more. We'll wait and find out. Let's get on to the main story today, and we'll wrap up with this as well. And then this is going to split opinion, I suppose. Norwich City have announced that Director of Football Stuart Webber is leaving the club after 6 years with the outfit. Webber, who has had an up and down time at Norwich, has been described by Football Insider as a recruitment expert. And is also described as being a lifelong Leeds United fan. This comes on the back of reports today that claim that Stuart Webber is set to hold talks with Leeds about the vacant Director of Football role. Webber is 39 years of age, as I said, lifelong Leeds fan, and has had some big hits and has had some misses. Now, what should be said is, in his role in Norwich, he was working under significant transfer restrictions and financial restrictions. I think 2 years ago, they were giving him a transfer budget of about 25 million in the Championship to get back out of it. So it's a different kind of a club. It's a different kind of a situation. Norwich yo-yo a bit because of their finances. You'd imagine hopefully Leeds will be in a better position, but it does say that he is expected to come in at this stage as the new Director of Football. All indications seem to point to him being the next choice. Also, what's happened this morning is it looks now more and more likely that Brendan Rodgers will return to Celtic. He is now odds-on favourite to sign for Celtic. He was to hold talks with Leeds yesterday or today, but Daniel Farke has already held talks with Leeds as well. There is an obvious connection here between Daniel Farke and Stuart Webber, having worked together before, having had 2 promotions together. It didn't work out for them in the top flight, but again, you could say restrictions on finances could have a part to play in that as well. Although you could say the first year Leeds went up, there was restrictions on players, and we still stayed in the Premier Division. Same with Brentford, same with Bournemouth this year. A good manager can keep a team up, and Farke seems to struggle in the higher leagues. He was relegated once with Norwich, was fired before the second relegation was confirmed, and then also at Gladbach in Germany, he was also fired this year after 1 year in charge. People have said that it's a 10th place position is good for them. However, look at the results over the last couple of years; they've had an 8th, 9th finish in the table, in and around that. And this year was seen as a backward step by them, but 10th place finish is not the worst in the world, but it was as far as they were concerned. So, it's interesting to see. I would expect an announcement pretty soon on this. I think we could see Stuart Webber coming in pretty quickly, and I think we'll see Daniel Farke probably join him, which is, if I'm being very honest, I get the whole we're in a championship and we need to get championship experience. For me, it's the whole lot's a little bit underwhelming. I would have liked to have seen Leeds go with a bolder move for manager, push the boat out a little bit. It is still said that the 49ers want Rodgers as a number 1 candidate, but Rodgers looks like he's going to favour a move back north of the border to Celtic. So things can change. A lot could happen in the next couple of days, hours even. We have to wait and see. But as of right now, it looks like Leeds could be heading into the new season with a partnership of Stuart Webber and Daniel Farke as manager and director of football, respectively, for the new campaign. And we'll have to wait and see. It could work. We should be open to that. And as I always say, every manager that gets a Leeds job, I will get behind. My concern with this is that we have a manager for this season. If we do get promoted, we're going to be recruiting another manager pretty early on to the next campaign, and that's my concern. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today. Unless something else happens, I will see you tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Have a great day, and mind yourselves. See you. Bye.